One thing that you said in our previous conversation was that there's one thread that runs through it, and you talked about the customer. If we're all focused on the same needs and the same customer, that's a natural alignment. This will blow you away, but Forrester did a study a few years ago and found that only 3% of companies, B2B companies, are truly customer obsessed. And McKinsey said only 15% even use the voice of the customer in their strategic decision making. This is a real issue. I had a woman on, she led a go-to-market agency, was a partner, said hundreds of different customers, and their customers are the B2B companies. She said, we always start with alignment, and we always use the voice of the customer as the number one change agent to get everyone to collectively agree on what it is that we're aligning on. Does that ring true for you?
It does. It definitely makes sense. I think having the voice of the customer in a few different places, from the voice of the customer and how they understand your brand at the very top of the funnel, is an important part of that voice when you're thinking on the early phases of the marketing and sales alignment and the process, but then really understanding the experience that they're having with the brand. That's the true differentiator to me. I really think of it as your marketing, like your best marketing campaigns and marketing moments, they come from that long running relationship you have with your customer. So making sure that you have regular check-ins and that you have information that is first being collected, but then I think it's really about how is that information being shared and how are decisions being shaped based on what we're learning. So making sure that information doesn't go into its own silo and it's really shared across the business so everyone can be making decisions based on the customer value.
So you said another thing, that it's really hard to do that. Right? What makes it so hard? These are basic things. If you really peel it back, we're all going to align, and we're going to align around the North Star, our customers. There couldn't be a more basic set of objectives, right? Why? Why is it so hard to do that?
That's a good question. I think it comes down to the fact that everyone cares about it, but it sometimes isn't a silo and it doesn't get the attention that it needs. Sometimes it's not represented at the C-suite level, in my experience in past lives. And sometimes it is just not included in a way that everyone can digest. Data points that everyone really cares about. I think that's what's most important. But I will say sometimes on the flip side, there's almost too much information collected about the voice of the customer. And then no one knows where that one source of truth is, or what is the one thing that we're rallying around. So I think back to one of the things you were saying was getting really clear on those few things that you really want to know about your customer. And if I zoom out, I think about it as the brand promise. What is the brand promise that your company has? And then are you living that through the customer experience? And if you can keep answering that question, then I think everything gets a little bit easier. But it is, just like I mentioned on the sales and marketing alignment, it is a constant conversation, and it is something that someone has to always be championing